Welcome to Filmprov, where everything is made up and my opinions don't matter. Now today I want to talk about, not movies, but my favorite TV show. Now this is still appropriate because this TV show happens to parody a lot of movies. This TV show is Community. Now this is appropriate for a film channel, I think, because one, what is TV if not a bunch of little movies? But also Community is special because it is written and made by people who clearly love movies. And if you know the show, you know it is absolutely dripping with movie and genre parodies and references. The show is, obviously, about a community college and a group of 7 misfits that form a bond with one another after forming a study group. There's Jeff, a fraudulent ex-lawyer that lied about having a bachelor's degree.
Well, I thought you had a bachelor's from Columbia.
And now I have to get one from America. Oof. And it can't be an email attachment.
Britta, a defiant former activist that's looking for some direction in life.
I've become much more conscious of world issues since Troy and I decided to give our baby an African name. Isn't that right, Chewbacca?
Troy, a former high school football star that lost his scholarship due to an injury.
And you're a stupid jock who lost his scholarship by dislocating both shoulders in a keg stand.
Keg flip. They're very hard to pull off.
Annie, an academic overachiever recovering from a mental breakdown due to stress and Adderall abuse.
I'll just blow everything off. Heck, I guess I'll just blow off walking.
Okay.
Or now I'll just blow off standing. I'm just blowing everything off. Maybe I'll blow off talking language.
Okay.
Blee, blue, blah, 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 blee, blue.
Abed, a young man with an encyclopedic knowledge of TV and movies who is all but explicitly stated to be on the autism spectrum.
I can tell life from TV, Jeff. TV makes sense. It has structure, logic, rules, and likable leading men. In life, we have this.
Shirley, a recently divorced mom trying to get back on her feet.
What would you do, Shirley?
I'd choose all morning classes so I could get home early to spend some time with my boys. It's hard being away from them so much.
And Pierce, an out-of-touch millionaire who takes classes to pass the time.
Sexually harassing? What? That makes no sense to me. Why would I harass somebody who turns me on?
Hey guys, editing Filmprov here. I guess everything I do is in editing, but I just wanted to add in this little bit because I first wrote and recorded this video before I was aware of this Chevy Chase documentary that came out. While this video is not really at all about Chevy Chase or even Pierce as a character, I just wanted to acknowledge that I am now aware of this documentary coming out. I haven't seen it yet. Apparently it paints a lot of different sides of Chevy Chase, negative and positive. I don't know enough to really speak on that, so I just want to kind of get ahead of you guys coming in the comments, talking about, why didn't you mention this? Because it's not the point of the video. Anyway, let's get back to it. Now, if you know Community, you know that this show started as a pretty standard slice of life sitcom, but over time it transformed into something that is really hard to describe. And one of the defining traits of its later identity is its love of using film and TV references and parodies in order to tell its stories. Many of the best episodes of Community have been very detailed and lovingly scathing parodies of both broad genres and specific franchises that not only feature common narrative tropes, but painstakingly recreate their visual and editorial style. Nowhere is this more evident than in the famous Paintball episodes. The first Paintball episode at the end of Season 1 really made Community what it was, and it was the first to really commit to replicating the style of these genres. So naturally, the show wanted to repeat it. There are Paintball episodes cropping up in Seasons 2, 4, and 6, with Season 2's actually being a two-parter. And Seasons 4 and 6's Paintball episodes are really not good, but that's not a surprise considering that Seasons 4 and 6 are the worst seasons of Community. Going through each episode, in Season 1's Modern Warfare, the end-of-the-year carnival turns disastrous when a game of simple paintball assassin gets way out of control due to the game's prize.
The prize. The prize.
What is this prize?
You don't know. Priority registration.
Priority registration.
The episode is a parody of the action genre as a whole, with references ranging from Predator, Terminator, 28 Days Later, Die Hard, Rambo, Saving Private Ryan, Riddick, and some John Woo films. Season 2's A Fistful of Paintballs and For a Few Paintballs More is a two-part episode, where another Western-themed end-of-year carnival turns into a repeat of last year's disaster, when Greendale's rival school sabotages the game. The first part of this two-parter is a parody specifically of Western movies, then the second part transitions to a Star Wars parody. Now the first part is excellent, but the second part barely feels like Star Wars. If you have to say what you're parodying, it's a bad sign.
In other words, it seems we left the Western motif and entering more of a Star Wars scenario.
In Season 4's advanced introduction to finality, as Jeff faces his impending graduation, he daydreams about the darkest timeline invading and trying to take over his own world using reality-warping paintballs. It's a loose parody of The Matrix, but it's really only in the costuming and brief slow-mo. It's also barely a paintball episode, to the point where Wikipedia does not consider it one, which makes this line all the more frustrating.
Don't logic this one away from me. We finally figured out a way to make paintball cool again.
Finally, in Season 6's Modern Espionage, due to Frankie's efforts in turning Greendale into a respectable school, a game of paintball assassin goes underground, with students eliminating each other in secret as part of a sinister plot to destroy the school. This time, the episode parodies the spy movie genre. Now, depending on who you ask, they may say there are 3 to 5 paintball episodes, if you consider Season 2's to be 1 episode or 2, and whether or not you consider Season 4's episode to be a paintball episode. But I would like to state, for the record, that everyone is wrong. There are actually 2 secret paintball episodes that no one knows about. These paintball episodes appear in Seasons 3 and 5, meaning that really there are paintball episodes in every season of Community. Now, not only are these episodes secretly paintball episodes and no one else seems to notice, but I would like to say that they are better paintball episodes than some of the episodes that people actually consider to be paintball episodes. Now, to examine why these are, we must break down what makes a paintball episode. Hint, it's not about the paintball Spider-Man. Now, these are the elements that I consider to make a paintball episode of Community. First, taking a simple children's game to an extreme intensity. Now, I say children's game because if I said paintball game, then obviously these 2 episodes aren't going to count. But the reason why it can be any children's game is because the comedy does not come from the fact that it's paintball. Paintballs aren't really funny. The comedy comes from the fact that they are taking this simple game to an extreme measure. The second element is that it shows the entire school becoming consumed in this game. Again, that goes back to taking that simple children's game to an extreme. The next element is that it has to be a genre parody. And this genre parody has to include art design, lighting, cinematography, editing, etc. Next, the game has to merely be a setting to explore the major character dilemmas. Not just a dilemma that you face in your average episode, but a multi-episode character arc. For example, Jeff's commitment to the group over his own selfish interests, the group's dissolving trust of Pierce, or the anxiety over looming graduation. And finally, this is a comedy show, it's gotta be funny. Now, the secret paintball episodes that I would like to talk about today are Season 3's Pillows and Blankets, and Season 5's Geothermal Escapism. Let's break down each of these episodes and how they apply to these paintball elements. In Pillows and Blankets, a rift forms between Abed and Troy as Troy secedes half of their school-wide pillow fort, causing a massive multi-day pillow fight that consumes the campus and threatens to destroy their friendship. The children's game they use is a simple pillow fight, escalated to the level of an all-out civil war. We see the entire school get wrapped up in the war as the study group chooses sides, and the supporting characters get drafted into the Pillow Armies. Now, this is probably one of my favorite genre parodies, because the entire style of the storytelling shifts to a flawless recreation of a Ken Burns history documentary, even down to the Keith David narration.
We tried to get Tom Hanks, but he's too expensive.
Now, while the scale and spectacle of the pillow fight is epic, the real meat of the story is the culmination of the growing rift between Troy and Abed, which had been building for several episodes as Troy was groomed by the air conditioning repair school. Don't ask.
I'm gonna eat spaceman paninis with Black Hitler and there's nothing you can do about it!
Once the dust settles, the last people fighting are Troy and Abed, refusing to stop, not because they hate each other so much, but because if this is the last thing they do together, they don't want it to end. Despite how deeply they hurt each other during the fight, deep down this conflict was still an expression of their friendship. And of course, this episode's funny as shit.
You're gonna die, you little bastards!
He is part man, part pillow. All carnage.
Now as for geothermal escapism, This episode is probably a little bit easier to recognize as a paintball episode than something like Pillows and Blankets, because its visual style is much more similar to Modern Warfare or A Fistful of Paintballs. On Troy's last day before he leaves to sail around the world, Abed launches a game of The Floor is Lava, offering a valuable collector's item as a prize to get everyone to play, in order to cope with the dread of losing his best friend. Now, the children's game in this episode is, of course, The Floor is Lava.
You are not allowed to touch the floor, or you're dead.
Naturally, this game consumes the entire school in a lava-themed wasteland, and we get to see the apocalypse versions of all of our favorite characters. There are even cult-like gangs and clans befitting this lava world.
Truce ended when you banished us from the payphone bench.
You used that bench to upset the balance. By the vapors of magma wrath, we will restore it.
You have gods?
The red emergency lighting is a simple detail to give the impression that the world is full of lava. This episode is a clear parody of post-apocalyptic wasteland movies, most obvious being Waterworld and the Mad Max movies. This episode is probably the most emotional in the entire series, as it is clearly about Abed's refusal to confront his feelings about Troy leaving. The show had established in previous episodes that major changes can cause Abed to perceive delusions about the world around him as filtered through his love of genre in film and TV. And in a heartbreaking moment, we learn that Abed's grief is making him actually see the floor as lava.
It's not a game for me, Troy. I'm seeing real lava because you're leaving. It's embarrassing. And I don't want to be crazy, but I am crazy, so I made a game that made you and everyone else see what I see.
I don't know, something about that "I don't want to be crazy, but I am" line, it just hits me. It's like that line in Forrest Gump.
Is he smart?
And then he almost says, "Or is he like me?" But don't let the waterworks, or lava works, fool you. This episode is still funny as hell.
To me, I'm just in it for the money. My son's getting gay married. The flowers alone, you have no idea.
So I think when you really look at it, these two episodes really are made in the same vein as those paintball episodes. They serve the same purpose and have the same effect, and I would not at all be surprised if Dan Harmon and the writers intended for these to be the successors to the paintball episodes. Now, because this is YouTube and I must appease the YouTube gods, I am going to rank all the paintball episodes from worst to best. Starting with number 7, the worst. Advanced Introduction to Finality. Not only does this episode have the same lack of energy, poor character writing, and lack of understanding of what makes Community great that all of Season 4 has, but the paintball also feels like a complete afterthought. It feels more like just a throwaway reference to an earlier episode. Plus, the return of the Dark Timeline feels just like a waste and a cheap callback to a much better episode. It also does not have the school-wide scale and level of insanity found in the other paintball episodes. Plus, you know what? Fuck this line.
We finally figured out a way to make paintball cool again.
Next, in 6th place, is Modern Espionage. Now, it has the school-wide intensity that you see in the other episodes, but it lacks the culmination of some kind of character arc and the emotional weight that we see in the other episodes. It mostly feels like a greatest hits callback, since it comes so late in the very last season, as if the writers just wanted one last paintball episode before the end. Plus, the story is barely comprehensible and everything just feels half-baked. In 5th place we have For a Few Paintballs More. Now we're starting to get into the better episodes. I think this episode is a fine follow-up to A Fistful of Paintballs, but my biggest issue is that the genre parody feels kinda half-assed. The dramatic shift from a Western film to Star Wars is awkward and forced, especially since the episode title is still a Western reference, and most of the characters are still in their Western clothes. Just a few tweaks to the characters, and an overhaul of the action set pieces to make them more reminiscent of Star Wars really would have gone a long way. In 4th place we have Pillows and Blankets. From here forward, these are episodes that I love. Pillows and Blankets is probably the most different paintball episode, since the focus is not really on the action, but it is probably one of the best parodies in the whole series. The conflict is genuinely heartbreaking, although I do feel like the resolution just needed a couple more beats to rebuild their friendship. In 3rd place, we have Modern Warfare. It's the one that started it all, and it's a classic for a reason. It set the bar for all the others, and what a high bar it is. The emotional core of this episode isn't as strong as in later installments, but you can still point to this as a clear turning point in Jeff's character. He has been struggling with his selfish tendencies and his newfound friends throughout the first season, but here we not only see him put his friends over his laziness, but we also see him get the one thing that he started the study group to do, sleep with Britta. Despite the fact that his selfish goal from the very first episode is finally accomplished, he still chooses to stay in the study group, and he ends up giving Shirley the prize after he wins. The episode also has excellent joke writing and surprisingly good action for a sitcom. In second place, the silver medal goes to A Fistful of Paintballs. Part of the reason that I am so critical of For a Few Paintballs More is that I think the first part of that duology is just so damn good. It ups the ante from season 1 with a strong commitment to the Western theme, and the emotional core of this episode still hits like a gut punch, despite the clever foreshadowing throughout the story. Honestly, despite the fact that the emotional conflict between Pierce and the rest of the group, and the paintball game itself is not resolved in this one episode, it honestly kind of works on its own as a standalone. Now, if the follow-up to this episode had stuck the landing, combined they might have been the best paintball episode, but that title has to go to number 1, Geothermal Escapism. Leave it to an episode that doesn't have a single paintball to be the best paintball episode of them all. Once again, this episode is a masterclass of committing to the bit, and it is the only episode of Community to make me feel a little misty-eyed. Not only is it the best paintball episode, but it ranks up there with Remedial Chaos Theory, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, and Abed's Uncontrollable Christmas as one of my all-time favorite Community episodes. Well, there you go. That is why I believe that Pillows and Blankets and Geothermal Escapism are not only paintball episodes, but that they are some of the best paintball episodes of the series. And you also got a bonus ranking of my personal favorite paintball episodes. Now, what do you think? Do you agree with me? If you disagree, leave a comment down below explaining why you're wrong. Community is such an amazing show, and if you can get through a couple dud seasons later on, you'll find one of the absolute most charming, intelligent, and subversive sitcoms out there. If you also want a fun drinking game to play over the holidays, rewatch this video and take a shot every time I say the word paintball. And if you like this video and you want to see more, give me a like, subscribe to my channel, and as always, don't feed the plants.
Leonard likes this post.